Tonight, questions surrounding the health of President Trump. The White House announces President Trump has undergone medical testing for swelling in his legs and bruising in his hands, leading to a diagnosis of chronic venous insufficiency. How serious is the condition? Our ABC medical team weighs in.
This is outrageous.
This is a kangaroo court.
A rare scene on Capitol Hill today as Democrats walk out of a heated confirmation hearing for the president's nominee for the Third Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, a lifetime appointment. This as the firestorm surrounding the Epstein files grows. Both sides of the aisle calling for the release of those files. Attorney General Pam Bondi visits Alcatraz today as President Trump floats the idea of reopening the notorious former federal prison. The Justice Department says that she was discussing what it would take to rehabilitate and reopen the facility. The failed and then infamous Fyre Fest sold to a mystery buyer on eBay for $250,000. The nightmare party that left festival goers stranded in the Caribbean without food, water, or shelter now has a new owner. Could they be going for a do-over? And is Coke changing its recipe again? President Trump announces that the soft drink giant is trading out corn syrup for cane sugar. The company, though, staying silent. We'll look into the mystery surrounding that iconic secret recipe, tell you where it's hidden, and ask nutrition experts if this new change could be better for your health.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We begin with the White House revealing President Trump has been diagnosed with a medical condition. The president's doctor insists he is in, quote, excellent health. A memo from the physician to the president says tests revealed chronic venous insufficiency, calling it a benign and common condition, especially in people over 70. The White House revealed the diagnosis after photos showed the president with swelling in his legs and bruising on his hands. Doctors say swelling in legs means that there isn't adequate blood flow in the veins in the legs, which can cause swelling. As for the bruising on his hands, the White House doctor says that it comes from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which many people take to prevent heart attacks. We have Dr. Darian Sutton standing by with more. But first, ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce leads us off.
Tonight, the White House addressing the pictures of President Trump that have been raising questions and concerns online. The president with bruises on his hands and swelling in his legs.
In the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today.
The president's doctor saying several ultrasounds revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition. Doctors tell us it means there isn't adequate blood flow to the veins in the legs, which can cause swelling.
Essentially, this is a problem with the blood vessels, more specifically a problem with the veins that are in charge of returning blood back to the heart.
The president's condition is common among seniors. It's most often seen in the legs, but can sometimes present in the arms. Though it's not considered serious, it can be painful. The White House says Trump himself is not in any pain.
Nope, no discomfort from the president at all, and you probably all see that on a day-to-day basis. He's working around the clock.
As for those bruises on the president's hands, which he's been covering with makeup, the White House doctor calls them consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin.
The president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here.
And Mary Bruce joins us now from the White House. So, Mary, how should we expect that the president will be treated?
Well, Linsey, the White House hasn't specified exactly how the president is being treated for this, but experts say that treatment typically includes medication to increase blood flow, elevating the legs, and even minor surgical procedures if it's deemed necessary. Linsey.
All right, Mary Bruce for us. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Let's not talk more about the president's diagnosis now. We're joined by ABC News medical correspondent Dr. Darian Sutton. Dr. Sutton, thank you so much for joining us. So first, what is chronic venous insufficiency?
Linsey, chronic venous insufficiency is essentially a problem with the circulatory system, more specifically the veins, and returning blood flow back to the heart. And that can cause the most common symptom that I see in the emergency room and hospitalizations, swelling in the lower extremities, mainly because of gravity.
So the president is 79 years old. It sounds like this is relatively common in someone his age.
It's relatively common. Up to 40% of people over the age of 50 have this diagnosis. But Linsey, more importantly, this is often underdiagnosed and missed, as the complications are what lead to the diagnosis. What we understand is that the president went an extensive workup, a vascular workup, multiple different blood tests, as well as ultrasound images of his veins, arteries, and his heart. And that is how they landed on this diagnosis of chronic venous insufficiency.
So we're looking at video right now, or we're just looking at it, of the makeup on his hands, talking about the bruising. They're saying, attributing that to handshaking. Is that possible that could cause the bruising?
It is quite possible, especially with repetitive aggressive handshaking. If someone is on an anticoagulant or a blood thinner that might increase the risk of bleeding, that then can lead to increased risk of bruising in that area.
Now, of course, you're not treating President Trump. We want to be very clear about that. But what would treatment constitute? What would that involve?
Yeah, well, treatment often is supportive, meaning that we're helping patients with the symptoms that might make their life uncomfortable. That most often includes, for example, compression to increase the pressure in the areas where you have pooling of the blood. For those who are overweight or obese, weight management programs are helpful to reduce the complications of chronic venous insufficiency. In certain cases, even medications that optimize blood flow. And in severe cases, Linsey, vein procedures and interventions, that's often done with a vascular surgeon or vascular specialist. And again, those are rare, but important to be aware of.
Is this something that would cause him day-to-day discomfort or pain?
Well, this diagnosis is a progressive one, meaning that there's no curative treatment or intervention, so it certainly can lead to persistent swelling, which can lead to persistent pain and difficulties with mobility, at the age of 79 can be difficult. At the age of 79, while also being the president of the United States, can be a tremendous amount of work.
All right, Dr. Darian Sutton, we thank you so much, as always, for your time and insight. Next tonight, to the growing pressure over those Jeffrey Epstein files, the White House now says that President Trump does not want a special counsel to investigate. This comes as a growing number of Republicans are calling for the files to be released. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, the White House says President Trump does not want a special counsel to investigate the Justice Department's handling of the case of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, something some Republicans have called for. 24 hours ago, the president ducking questions.
I have nothing to do with it.
But today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says Trump opposes the idea.
The president would not recommend a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. That's how he feels.
The president has said Attorney General Pam Bondi briefed him on Epstein.
President Trump said that the Attorney General only gave him a brief overview of what was in these Epstein files. Does he have knowledge or an understanding of what is in the files related to Epstein that have not been released?
Not to my knowledge, and that's a question for the Attorney General, as I said. And the president has told the Attorney General if they have any more credible evidence, they should release it.
Is that evidence, would she have to run that by the president before she released it?
I don't think so.
Earlier this year, Bondi promised to open the books on Epstein and make the files public.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
But now the Justice Department and the FBI say the client list doesn't actually exist and that no more information would be made public. The president, whose FBI director and deputy FBI director long promoted sinister conspiracy theories about Epstein, now attacking his own supporters for demanding more information.
They're stupid people.
The president dismissing the Epstein matter as a hoax, a waste of time, and boring. But many prominent Republicans disagree.
I don't think human trafficking of young teenage girls being exploited by billionaires on a private island is boring.
Some top supporters now demanding that Bondi hold a news conference to explain her decision. But today, the Attorney General was far from Washington. She flew to California to tour Alcatraz, which Trump is hoping to reopen. She wasn't talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
And Rachel Scott joins us now. It really does seem that the Trump administration is trying to turn the page, but perhaps unsuccessfully.
Yeah, the president wants to be talking about the issues, the economy, immigration, but still behind the scenes, Linsey, I am told this is consuming the White House. The president's top advisors, they are meeting. They are trying to figure out a way to move past this. But you heard from those Republicans, many of them making it clear that this is not going away. They want to see more transparency.
No time soon. All right, Rachel Scott, great to have you with us. Thank you. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted today to advance the nomination of the president's personal defense attorney, Emil Bove, to the powerful Court of Appeals Third Circuit. Senate Democrats, led by New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, walked out of the hearing and did not vote after Committee Chair Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley declined Booker's request to debate his nomination. More than 900 former DOJ employees yesterday urged senators to reject Bove to the court. Sean Diddy Combs and Jeffrey Epstein prosecutor Maureen Comey is speaking out after her abrupt firing by the DOJ yesterday. In a note to her former colleagues, Comey, who is the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, said that, quote, fear is a tool of a tyrant. She also urged fellow prosecutors to continue to seek justice for victims and to dedicate their efforts to the truth. Her termination is the newest in the recent trend of the DOJ firing its lawyers without explanation. Now to that disturbing report about the deadly Air India crash. As we reported last night, the Wall Street Journal is claiming the black box recording of the two pilots inside the cockpit indicates it was the captain who turned off the switches that controlled the fuel flowing to the engine. ABC's chief international correspondent James Longman has the latest.
A new report tonight suggests that horrific Air India crash in June that killed all but one of the 242 people on board may not have been an accident. The Wall Street Journal says US officials believe the captain cut off the fuel to both engines on purpose just as the plane took off. In the cockpit recording, the first officer is heard asking the captain why he turned off the fuel control switches. The captain, says the Journal, told his co-pilot he didn't do it. But one detail is especially chilling. The Journal says the first officer panicked, but the captain remained calm.
If this was in fact a deliberate act, it's going to raise questions about mental health. Whoever shut the engines down knew that doing it just 3 seconds after lifting off from the runway would not allow enough time to get those engines restarted before the aircraft impacted the ground.
A preliminary report released just days ago found the fuel supply to the engines was cut off and was turned back on 10 seconds later. But by then it was too late. The plane slammed into a medical college. We were on the scene.
Hundreds, thousands of people live in this neighborhood. It's packed with people. I'm just 100 yards or so away from where I am. That is the fuselage of the plane.
The captain is 56-year-old Sumit Sabharwal. He was a veteran with nearly 16,000 hours of flying experience. Linsey, Air India has said they've found no issues with the fuel switches on any of their Boeing aeroplanes, but their CEO says it's way too early to be jumping to any conclusions, but his company is fully cooperating with the investigation. This is going to be a long process. Linsey?
Sure will be. James, thank you. Flash flood threats and storms yet again tonight, this time stretching from New York to Maine. A deadly lightning strike at a Cub Scout archery event in New Jersey killed one man and injured 8 children. And that flood threat for more than 18 million Americans in several states, particularly dangerous in the burn scar areas of New Mexico. Plus, a tropical system is brewing along the Gulf, spawning life-threatening rip currents. Meteorologist Lee Goldberg is tracking it all for us. But first, our Alex Perez reports from New Orleans.
Tonight, powerful storms turning deadly. In Jackson Township, New Jersey, our Morgan Norwood on the scene of a lightning strike Wednesday night.
That lightning bolt slamming into the ground here at this archery camp. And though it didn't hit anyone directly, it claimed the life of a beloved instructor.
The instructor identified as 61-year-old Robert Montgomery.
That's where the lightning hit.
Gene Grotsky tried to save his life.
It was just like the finger of God came down and pow.
The strike happening during a Cub Scout event. 8 children hurt, the youngest victim just 7 years old. Extreme weather also wreaking havoc in the west. Torrents of mud along Highway 70 in Rio Doso, New Mexico, after rainfall rates of up to 2 inches an hour. In Kansas City, Missouri, cars stranded after up to 8 inches of rain. The fire department says they rescued more than 20 people. Along the Gulf Coast, residents filling sandbags. Officials warning of life-threatening rip currents ahead of that tropical system moving in.
Some ominous skies behind you there. Alex Perez joins us now from New Orleans. So, Alex, what's happening there now?
Well, Lindsay, there's a flood watch here in New Orleans and for much of the Gulf Coast through Friday night. More rain is expected this evening. Some areas could see as much as 15 inches. Lindsay?
Wow, significant rainfall again. Alex Perez, thanks so much. Let's go now to our chief meteorologist, Lee Goldberg, from our partner station here in New York, WABC. Lee, The map tells the story. Lots of activity going on.
Sure, watching the Gulf Coast again because there's a tropical low not far from New Orleans. All those expanding areas of red, those are all big thunderstorms. We're going to have rainfall rates of 3 to 4 inches an hour over parts of Louisiana. I anticipate several rounds of rain into the day on Saturday. Now, there are other flood trouble spots across the country. For instance, the Southwest, there's monsoonal moisture. We've seen multiple flood warnings over parts of New Mexico today, and Nevada, Utah, and into parts of Arizona. We're seeing that. Also, some severe storms over Montana. Moving eastward, the storms we saw over Kansas City in the morning, that threat is over the Ohio Valley tonight and into the mid-Atlantic tomorrow. And then we've had severe storms over northern New York and northern New England. Rare tornado-warned storms over Maine. We've had multiple ones of those today. This is all being driven by all the extreme heat in the east. But the good news is that front brings refreshing air into the northeast, at least for a day or two, while the heat stays in the south. Lindsay?
All right, Lee Goldberg for us. Thanks so much, Lee. In Maine tonight, there's been an arrest in the mysterious death of a paddleboarder whose body was found on an island accessible only by boat. Police say the suspect is a 17-year-old who was visiting the area with his family. ABC's Aaron Katersky reports from Union, Maine tonight.
Tonight, the shocking arrest in the killing of an avid paddleboarder who was found murdered on an island in the middle of a pond. The suspect, a 17-year-old male from Maine, who sources say was on a summer visit with his family to the rustic campgrounds east of Augusta, where 48-year-old Sunshine Sonny Stewart was last seen alive. For 2 weeks, state police have been hunting for her killer, even asking people in the area for DNA samples as part of the investigation. In her final days, Stewart was seen teaching her friend's daughter how to paddleboard. That friend telling us she knew something was wrong when Stewart didn't return home July 2nd.
The house was dark, like uncharacteristically so. In the back of my mind, I was wondering why I hadn't heard from her.
Sources tell ABC News Stewart's body was found on 100-acre island in Crawford Pond, her paddleboard located using a drone. The medical examiner identified her cause of death as strangulation and blunt force trauma.
It's a scary thought that, somebody around here has done something really horrific.
Stewart's loved ones saying Sonny's light was dimmed too soon.
She's a once-in-a-lifetime person. She's a fabulous human being, and I'm so grateful to have been in her orbit.
While authorities believe they have now caught the killer, Lindsay, they've said nothing about why a 17-year-old vacationing with his family in this summer haven here in Maine would allegedly murder a 48-year-old woman out paddleboarding. Lindsay?
Aaron, thank you. Tonight, a well-known record-breaking skydiver has died. Felix Baumgartner was killed in a paragliding accident after crashing into the side of a hotel pool. ABC's Trevor Ault has more.
Tonight, a tragic fatal crash for a world-renowned daredevil. Felix Baumgartner, known for death-defying stunts, killed in a motorized paragliding accident along the Italian coast. Local officials say the 56-year-old Austrian crashed into the side of a hotel pool. Just hours before, he'd posted this image on Instagram, captioned, "Too much wind." Known as Fearless Felix, Baumgartner gained international acclaim for his heart-pounding 24-mile jump from the edge of space seen in these videos from sponsor Red Bull. In 1999, he set the world record for highest parachute jump from atop the Petronas Towers in Malaysia. And in 2007, this stunning base jump from the 85-foot arm of the Christ the Redeemer statue in Brazil.
And Lindsay, in a statement from Red Bull, they say Felix was devoted to his friends and family, and he was born to fly. Lindsay?
Trevor, thank you. 3 people are dead after the Israeli military struck the only Catholic church in Gaza. The parish and the Vatican confirmed the news, adding that an additional 10 people are injured, including the parish priest. Pope Francis notably called the parish every night during the ongoing war up until his passing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement that stray ammunition hit the church and that the holy site was not a target of its raid on Gaza. A major change is coming for those who vote in Britain. The country plans to lower the voting age from 18 to 16 years old. Our Patrick Reevell joins us now from London. And Patrick, what's the motivation behind this?
Hi, Lindsay. Yeah, this would be the biggest expansion of voting rights in the UK in decades. And this was an election promise by the ruling Labour Party. They say it's about rejuvenating Britain's democracy at a time when here, like in the US, there's low trust in institutions and there's a sense that the system isn't really working. It's actually part of a larger draft law aimed at lowering obstacles to people voting. But the right-wing opposition Conservative Party says it doesn't make sense. They say you can't get married or drink alcohol alcohol at 16. They also allege it will tilt elections in Labour's favour since young people tend to lean left. Now, the government denies that. Prime Minister Keir Starmer says 16-year-olds can already pay taxes, so should get a say. No taxation without representation, Lindsay.
How quickly will registered voters who are 16 and 17 years old be able to have their voices heard?
So the government today said they want this to happen by the next general election, and that may not be until 2029, though it could be called earlier. This will also still have to go through Parliament, but Labour has a big majority, so it will likely pass. There is already a short list of countries that already allow 16-year-olds to vote, among them Ecuador, Austria and Brazil, Lindsay.
Patrick, thank you. Tonight, authorities are releasing body camera video that shows a suspect arrested for a security breach at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta. Police say the suspect cut through a perimeter fence, making it onto the airfield. Authorities with dogs were unable to find him. An airport maintenance worker finally led officers to the suspect after spotting him lying in the grass near a runway holding a metal pipe. No motive known yet for why he was there. Coming up, the rights to the famed and failed Fyre Fest now belong to someone else, and they were sold on eBay. And in our prime focus, Taiwan is preparing for the worst as the possibility of an attack from China looms. We go inside Taiwan's massive days-long military exercise.
Does it scare you?
A little bit. When seeing this, you'll get your nerves a bit tense.
Welcome back, everyone. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has warned that China faces an imminent threat to Taiwan. Tensions have been steadily growing, and Taiwan is making sure it's prepared, increasing its military drills. Meanwhile, China is criticizing the drills as a bluff and self-deceiving stance by Taiwan's president and his ruling party, aimed at pushing a pro-independence agenda. ABC's Britt Clennett reports from Taiwan.
This is the new reality in the Indo-Pacific. War games on an unprecedented scale. Amid growing military pressure from China, Taiwan preparing for the possibility that Chinese forces could attack at any moment.
This is a very dramatic, realistic setup here. They're using howitzers and tanks to repel what would be an attack by Chinese troops by air and by sea.
These are live fire drills, which also include artillery, guns and cannon fire to annihilate the enemy at sea. These are Taiwan's largest ever exercises in both scale and length. 10 days of simulating an invasion on all corners of Taiwan, including the island of Kinmen, a stone's throw away from mainland China.
That's just China over there, less than 4 miles away, the city of Xiamen. You can see just how the margin of error here is not very big. And with both sides carrying out drills, the fear is that one day any miscalculation could turn into a full-scale war.
China claims Taiwan as its own territory, vowing to one day take the self-ruled democratic island back by force if necessary. Most residents here telling us they just want to keep the peace.
Freedom, always. We don't want war.
And like most people we speak to here, many who have relatives across the strait, Arthur says he does not want to lose the democratic freedom he enjoys in Taiwan.
中国政府他们有他们对他们人民的一套制度，或许中国人民他们可以接受但是不同的文化就造就了不同的想法，在
越来越不一样。
怎么说呢？越走越远。
On Taiwan's main island, reminders too that the country is in a heightened state of preparedness. In the centre of town, residents tell us these US-supplied Patriot missile launchers just one day last week appeared in their local park near an active airport, just minutes from the city's skyscrapers.
Does it scare you?
A little bit. When seeing this, you'll get your nerves a bit tense.
Across Taiwan, civilians rehearse how to take cover if an attack was to come.
Sirens are going off in this supermarket, so everyone's filing into the car park now. This is practice, of course, for a real-life situation, but basically the alarm means that there's a missile that's been detected in the area near Taiwan. So everyone needs to take shelter. For many Taiwanese people, this is a reality, you know, that they have to imagine one day they're going to have to file into a bunker, know how to organize themselves in the case of an attack.
As part of the drills, Taiwan has called up a record 22,000 reservists.
This is all taking place in a regular school. These are civilian soldiers who have been called up to practice their skills for combat. From what you see, the China threat is growing.
Yes, definitely.
Linsey Davis, the Deputy Secretary General of Taiwan's National Security Council, says China is carrying out increasingly serious war games around Taiwan, including tactics to practice blockading its main island.
You can see that every day there are a bunch of Chinese aircraft come across the median line of Taiwan Strait. That type of operations is somehow has already caused a very serious concern for our own security.
Taiwan has been eager to showcase its American weapons. Taiwan's President William Lai just last week inspecting Abrams tanks ahead of a live test fire.
It's very important because it enhances our combat power from the offshore, and we can defeat our enemy, use the very, very powerful weapons.
President Trump has been pressuring Taiwan to increase its defense budget and buy more American weapons, with President Lai now vowing to boost its budget to 3% of GDP, while Trump wants it to be as high as 10%.
Do you believe that there will be American support in the event of an invasion?
I would say it's more important for us to understand that we are the only one on the front line that need to shoulder these responsibilities. Then to see that how our partners and allies in the region can help us.
Linsey Davis warning China will not stop at Taiwan.
In the last couple months or decades, I think it's pretty clear that they have a very clear strategic ambition. That is to take control of Indo-Pacific.
Our thanks to Britt Clennett for that. Welcome back, everyone. President Trump said on social media yesterday that he had spoken to the Coca-Cola company about using real cane sugar in Coke instead of high fructose corn syrup. The company itself has not yet confirmed such a change. We take a look at the iconic company and soft drink in tonight's By the Numbers. The recipe for Coca-Cola is closely guarded, so much so the company decided in 1925 to put the formula inside a vault at the Trust Company Bank in Atlanta. The company, after all, is trying to protect net revenues last year of nearly $47 billion. Even that large amount does not tell the entire story. The company's combined industry retail value in North America alone is $390 billion. Think of all their bottled products, from soda to juice to dairy to plain old water, not to mention its entire food service businesses. And going back to their most famous of products, it was not until 1945 that the name Coke became a registered trademark of the company. It was better known as just Coca-Cola before World War II. And finally, you know the classic cursive that says "Enjoy Coca-Cola"? That typeface has been around only since 1969 to go along with the red and white color scheme and logo. And while the expected move from high fructose corn syrup to cane sugar has been cheered by many Coca-Cola fans, experts say there's no science showing corn syrup to be any better or worse than sugar. But Health Secretary RFK Jr. refutes those claims, blaming high fructose corn syrup on obesity rates in America. ABC News' senior national correspondent Steve Osinsami takes a look back now at the beloved beverage's history and how its ingredients have changed since its invention nearly 140 years ago.
It's arguably the most famous combination of water and sugar in the world, and one of the greatest examples of how something so simple can mean so much to so many through the power of effective suggestion. And some very smart people at Coca-Cola headquarters in Atlanta have spent years convincing the planet that Coke is it. and very famously taught the world to sing about their soft drink in perfect harmony. So when the president announced Wednesday that he had convinced the Coca-Cola company to regularly start using real cane sugar in their secret recipe, something they haven't done stateside in decades, it appeared to many another example of the president reshaping an American institution. I've been speaking to Coca-Cola about using real cane sugar in Coke in the United States, he wrote, and they have agreed to do so. This will be a very good move by them. You'll see. It's just better.
If they can please the administration, if they can please the parents who want dyes out of stuff, and they can make consumers happy along with the politician, why not do it? I think their stockholders will probably be thrilled over that decision.
Back in the 1980s, Coca-Cola started using corn syrup instead of sugar to sweeten its soft drinks because sugar was more expensive. The whole multi-billion-dollar soft drink industry followed, and experts say it's a big reason why so many Americans in particular are overweight. And it's not that corn syrup is any worse for you than cane sugar. It's just that in America, corn is king, which makes it easier and cheaper for the people who make our food to put so much of it in everything.
High fructose corn syrup comes in a liquid form, so it is more easily mixed, combined in foods. It also is more easily stored, and therefore it is cheaper.
The president loves him some Coca-Cola. He's clearly a Diet Coke man. Coca-Cola, never one to miss good marketing, sent him a presidential commemorative inaugural Diet Coke bottle, personally delivered by its chairman and CEO, seen here. It was a pharmacist in Atlanta who invented Coca-Cola in 1886, suggesting that it could cure indigestion, headaches, and even impotence. He named it after two of its ingredients, an extract of the coca leaf and the cola nut, which is a natural source of caffeine. And by World War II, people across South America and Europe were enjoying this taste of America. Coca-Cola would go on to become a nearly $300 billion company with sales in more than 200 countries, making their secret recipe priceless. 12 years ago, we met a man and his wife in Georgia who claimed they found a copy buried in an old box they picked up at an antique sale. At the time, he was selling the secret formula on eBay for $5 million.
On page 83 of the extractor is the original Coca-Cola formula, which might serve as a source of preparation information.
Coca-Cola wasted no time telling us it was nonsense.
There's only one copy of the formula, and if you look over my shoulder, you can see the vault where it's stored. And believe me, there's plenty of protection, plenty of security.
Today, Coke won't confirm that they're changing anything, in America at least, saying in a statement that we appreciate President Trump's enthusiasm for our iconic Coca-Cola brand. More details on new innovative offerings within our Coca-Cola product range will be shared soon. They're already using cane sugar and Coca-Cola soft drinks sold in many other parts of the world. But there's no doubt the company remembers what happened stateside when they tried to change their famous drink with New Coke in 1985 and Coke 2 in 1990. Americans said no.
If they do make the change now, it's a whole different situation. Now they're more going back to what really is Coke Classic, Coca-Cola with sugar. So this time, a recipe change might just be what folks are looking for.
And it's not like there aren't any other choices. Pepsi, for example, has been serving a real sugar brand of their soft drink for more than a decade. But it's Coca-Cola that is as iconic as Uncle Sam and American as apple pie, where the recipe doesn't change without someone noticing.
He is right about that. Our thanks to Steve Osinsame. Coming up, Eric Bana is returning to the small screen, how the wilderness brought the Australian actor to Netflix. And Disneyland in California is about to celebrate an incredible milestone with an entire year of celebrations. We'll tell you more when we come back. A star player on the Kansas City Chiefs is sentenced to jail time. The rights of the failed Fyre Fest now belong to someone new, and celebrating 70 years of magic at the happiest place on earth. These stories and more in tonight's rundown. Kansas City Chiefs star wide receiver Rashee Rice was sentenced to 30 days of jail time and 5 years probation for his role in a multi-car crash last year. Rice pleaded guilty in district court to 2 third-degree felony charges, collision involving serious bodily injury, and racing on a highway causing bodily injury. Police say that Rice was traveling at 119 miles per hour in a Lamborghini SUV shortly before the crash last year in Dallas. A mystery buyer has snatched up the rights to the doomed Fyre Fest music festival for almost $250,000. The first Fyre Fest was hyped up to be something out of a movie, but it ended up becoming a nightmare for festival goers. People who paid hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for tickets were stranded on a Caribbean island with barely any food, water, or shelter. Festival organizer Billy McFarland was sued and served jail time for financial crimes following the first Fyre Fest. Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark will not participate in this weekend's WNBA All-Star events after suffering a right groin injury. Clark, who has dealt with injury issues much of the season, had been named a starter and captain for Saturday's All-Star game last month after receiving the most fan votes. Clark underwent imaging to determine the extent of her groin injury, with Fever coach Stephanie White saying that she was considered day-to-day. Before the season, Clark had never missed a game in her college or pro career. An onstage brawl last year has led to a lawsuit between the members of alt-rock band Jane's Addiction. Guitarist Dave Navarro, along with the drummer and bassist, are suing lead singer Perry Farrell for $10 million, according to court documents. The trio alleges that Farrell damaged the band's reputation during their tour. Things came to an end during a show in Boston last year when Farrell threw a punch at Navarro on stage. The rest of the tour was canceled following the incident. Get ready to sprinkle a few extra smiley faces into your text because today is World Emoji Day. World Emoji Day started in 2014 and is celebrated every year on July 17th because that is the date shown on the calendar emoji. The history of emojis goes back to 1999 when a Japanese designer wanted a fun way to add emotion to a digital message. There were just 176 original emojis at the time. Now that number is almost 4,000, and these are more than just a way to dress up a text message. Scientists are also exploring how emoji can play a role in dialing down the temperature of online discourse and encouraging more respectful communication. Disneyland is celebrating 70 years of magic. The California theme park first opened its doors in 1955 as the brainchild of Walt Disney. Disney told the first guests of Disneyland that the park will never be completed and will continue to grow as long as there is imagination in the world. The Walt Disney Company is the parent company of ABC News. This just in, CBS is pulling the plug on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert after its 2025-26 broadcast season. Colbert announced the news during tonight's taping at the Ed Sullivan Theater. CBS is calling this a purely financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. The company calls Colbert irreplaceable and says it will be retiring The Late Show franchise in May. Roblox is unveiling new technology to verify the age of the millions of teens who use the gaming platform. The technology uses facial recognition and AI to figure out a child's real age. Our Becky Worley has more.
On the Roblox platform, chats and interaction are the name of the game. Roblox rolling out what they're calling age estimation in order for teens to access more unfiltered private messaging and voice chats so they can chat more freely and know that the friends they make online are the age they say they are. The innovation? Players will use a selfie technology so the company's AI systems can analyze their facial features to try to determine if they're over the age of 13.
Obviously, we can't estimate someone's age perfectly, but we can get really close.
I give it a try.
Ready to take a selfie? Let's do it. Turn left, turn right. I know this is going to come as a surprise, but it actually says I'm not under 13 years old.
While this will give parents a little more peace of mind, it could also have ripple effects across the tech industry, an industry that's been grilled for not protecting kids.
What you're telling me is we have all of the information we already need to help protect our children when it comes to age verification. We just have companies that are unwilling to do the hard thing that would be the best thing for our kids.
If this age estimation takes off, it's going to be hard for those social media platforms to say, well, we can't age verify kids, so how are we supposed to keep them off our platform? Do you see this technology really broadening across different platforms and being something that has a standard that could be used in other places?
I would say for Roblox, given this 20-year history of building safety and civility into everything we do, we typically don't wait for legislation. I mean, we do what we think is right for the company.
Time tonight for the latest in our series Streamlined, where we bring you some of the biggest films and TV series hitting screens worldwide, speaking with some of the actors and creators behind them. From the Outback to the Sierra Nevada, in Untamed, Australian actor Eric Bana stars as Kyle Turner, a National Park Service special agent in the vast wilderness of Yosemite National Park. But when a girl is mysteriously murdered within park limits, Kyle must reckon with his own past and the dark secrets hiding behind one of nature's greatest landscapes. Let's take a look.
Look, let Vasquez or Milch take over Jane Doe. And if it turns into something, then we'll bring an ISB agent from some other park.
Why do I feel like Jill may be picking up part of this lunch tab, too?
And joining us now is the star of the series, Eric Bana. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Lindsay. Nice to be here.
All right, so you've played federal agents, soldiers, police officers over the years, but in Untamed, you play a special agent. What drew you to this role, and how has it been different from past performances?
I was really taken in by the premise of a murder mystery set in an unbelievably epic natural landscape. I felt like I hadn't seen this before in a film or a TV show, and I was obsessed with the idea of playing Kyle. I just thought the writing was really, really beautiful, really strong, and really a real challenge.
And you said that you read the script for Untamed first back in 2019.
Yeah.
You had been living with this so long in your head. How did that really help you craft and the storytelling for your character?
Yeah, it's a rare thing. It's not often that we get to live with a character for so long as actors, waiting for something to get made or advocating for it to get made and so forth. So you kind of go away and you do other things, and then it just stays in the back of your mind. So I think they become part of you. You start to think for them, and it's a luxury. It doesn't always happen, so when it does, you try and make the most of it, and gives you more time to research, gives you more time to question, what direction it's going in and so forth. But it's a real luxury. Yosemite National Park, really, as well as your character, both are dealing with the past. How would you say that the landmark really is a character unto itself in this show? Yeah, it was very deliberate. We knew we didn't want it to be just a backdrop. Mm-hmm. We wanted it to be for the audience to feel like they've been transported somewhere really special, but at the same time treat the park as a real character, not just for its natural beauty, but for what lies beneath, for the human elements that may be lurking in the shadows, so to speak. So we wanted to have a few elements, and also a real spiritual element, particularly for my character with what he's going through, without too many spoilers. The park for him and nature as such is a very therapeutic element. You've spoken out personally about the importance of climate advocacy and preservation of public lands. It feels like this show falls perfectly in line with your own perspective. Oh, look, I love spending time in nature, and, national parks, wherever they are in the world, they're not something that can be built by developers. You have them once, and you have one chance to protect them, and we filmed this predominantly up in British Columbia, actually at the back of Whistler, in a lot of the national park area up there, and it was really spectacular. We made that with the footage from Yosemite. And like I say, we wanted the audience to be able to sit at home and feel like they've gone somewhere really special, but at the same time, there is a crime to be solved. And in part of that investigation of that crime, Untamed really uses a number of creative flashbacks to tell the story. Why was that so significant in really trying to differentiate itself from other shows? Yeah, I think any tool that the editors can use to direct or misdirect the audience when it comes to this genre is really powerful. In our sense, it was, we discover Jane Doe at the beginning of episode 1, and we do use the flashbacks to help show how good Turner is at his job in terms of piecing together how this crime has occurred, and it ramps up the drama. So it's kind of like an onion that gets slowly peeled as each episode goes through, and everyone is a suspect.
Love it. And you can tell when you're talking about it, there's just this intense interest in the show. And no doubt viewers are going to feel the same. Eric Bana, we thank you so much for coming back on. All 6 episodes of Untamed are now streaming on Netflix. Tonight, we remember singer and actress Connie Francis, her rise to fame, her triumph over heartache, and her song that became famous once again just before her death. Here's World News Tonight anchor David Muir.
She was an American favorite. Connie Francis dominated the Billboard pop charts for years.
Hey, set me free. Stupid Cupid, stop picking on me.
Dozens of top 100 songs.
It's a very big hit record. Miss Connie Francis.
Her first hit, Who's Sorry Now, debuted in 1958.
Who's sorry now? Who's sorry now?
A string of chart-topping songs followed. Lipstick on Your Collar, 1959.
'Cause the lipstick on your collar told a tale on you, yeah.
In 1960, she was just 21 when she became the first solo female artist to achieve a #1 hit with her song Everybody's Somebody's Fool.
'Cause everybody's somebody's fool.
In 1961, during the Cold War, singing for American troops in West Berlin.
Where the boys are, my true love will be.
And just this summer, decades after her 1962 song Pretty Little Baby came out, it went viral, becoming a hit again on TikTok.
Pretty little baby.
So many lip-syncing to it, including the Broadway actress who is currently playing her in the musical Just in Time.
Pretty little baby.
And it was just last month, Connie Francis responding to all of the new attention.
I'm flabbergasted and excited about the huge buzz. Truly overwhelming for me. Thank you, TikTok.
Tonight, Connie Francis, in her own words.
I've learned that life isn't an interruption to a career. And there are many things that I've always wanted to do and never had a chance to do, and I'm doing them now.
Sorry, no.
Our thanks to David for that. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for streaming with us.